Alright, which games are these?
I think
Ahri
it's
one?
yes, this one and the one above.
Alright.
Yeah.
So in general, we play a lot of Ahri and we play a lot of Syndra. I mean, the Syndra win rate is a bit better right now. Why do you think that is? Do you have any clue?
Yes, I've started playing Syndra in like last year, August, about time, and then I one-tricked Syndra till about May this year.
Yeah. So you're just more
So
comfort on the champion than...
yes, absolutely. I started playing Ahri like 2 months ago.
Okay.
And it didn't really click. So I'm learning Kassadin at the moment on a second account.
Mm-hmm.
Just to like spice things up a bit and get a broader view of the game.
Yep.
Because I think that's what's lacking for me to progress. Yeah.
Yeah. And what is like your goal with the game? Like your emerald right now? What are you trying to get to?
So my long-term goal is to play on some like competitive small region European team.
Mm-hmm.
I would really like to do that. That's like my dream scenario.
Yep.
But I would just like to get unstuck at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we
I've
focus on
been
climbing first, and then we see what comes after.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, and then in general, are there any things in particular you want me to like look out for when coaching you today? Like, are there some things you think you struggle with that you think I could help you with?
Yes. Not with the Syndra one. I think I haven't had a Syndra coaching in a while because I felt really comfortable and I focused on learning Ahri a bit.
Okay.
But in the Ahri one, it's like I'm playing Ahri as I'm playing like with the Syndra mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm mostly chilling in lane, not doing what I'm supposed to, and not utilizing my kit really well.
Yeah.
But on Syndra, I would just like to get a general checkup. Yeah, that
Yeah,
would
so
be
it's
awesome.
not so many Syndra mechanics, but generally like just gameplay, and Ahri is more Ahri mechanics.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Alright. As for like setup, like in the game, how come you decide to go first strike? Because I'm not sure if it's what you do normally or if you sometimes go other runes, but how come like you decide to go first strike in these games?
I always go first strike.
Okay. Why?
Yeah. It's I don't really think about runes to be honest. Yeah.
Okay.
I always go first strike. And mostly similar build. I will always go Ludens, then Rabadons, and then like situational, maybe Banshees, maybe Zonyas, maybe Void Staff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but about runes, I don't really think about. Yeah, I
Yeah.
always go first strike.
I mean, sometimes first strike is good. The one thing we have to like be careful of, mainly if we play this rune, is like what we. I mean, we always have to think about what we get out of runes, right? That's the like main thing. But also like if we get outrange, for example, we don't want to be playing this rune usually, right? So that's like one thing. If you face like a Seraph or a Vel'Koz, something like this, then you don't want to be playing this rune.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. In this case, as in the Azir case, does he outrange me?
I think it
A
can be
bit.
fine to play. Like
Okay.
it's alright to play. Like it's generally for me, I just want you to make an active decision about your runes, right? That's like one thing, and I want you to think about like okay, what you get out of the runes. If you prefer first strike, that's fine. But I want you to consider other things, right?
Okay.
So for example, I mean, Ahri is the other really common one, or sometimes Face Rush, but I don't think Face Rush is too good. Um,
Yes.
so it's like if you have a lane where you think you can bully him quite hard, or something like this, or even a lane where you think you will get bullied, then it's probably better to go like what's called Ahri, right? Because
Yeah.
this way you can
Yeah.
like play more for lane and actually like cut his HP a bit more.
Okay. Okay.
If you play against a melee, like let's say this game was like you playing Syndra, I would prefer you going like first strike because you're probably not gonna poke out this guy anyways, right? Like that's how second
Yes.
wind, like etc. works, like fleet, door and shield, etc. etc. And same thing
Yeah.
probably with the Katarina matchup. In the Seer lane, if you feel confident you will win it either way, or with how you play, like you don't want for Ahri, that can be fine. If you want to like play more to poke him out, then that can be fine as well. And it's also about thinking about it like in terms of the game, right? If you have like a really aggressive jungle, maybe you want to like have more aggressive runes, these kind of things, right? Makes sense?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you said you go Ludens, Rabadons, or what? Pretty much every game.
Yes. Ludens into Rabadons. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I think the build is good. like what I suggest is that you build towards Rabadons, and then if you need like the immediate spike, you go Shadow Flame instead.
Okay.
So like the argument is like, okay, you go Ludens and then you go Lord Shroud, and then if like Drake fight is coming up in like a minute and you don't have money for Rabba but you have money for Shadow Flame, I would buy Shadow Flame.
Okay, I talked to other coaches about Shadow Flame, and I actually built Shadow Flame before, and then they said it's really bad because it like contradicts with
Oh,
Syndra R because of the
100%.
execute.
100%. I hate Shadow Flame as an item, but I think if you need it for the immediate spike to win the fight, then you should go it. That's
Okay,
like the
okay.
argument.
So it's very situational then.
Yes, I think Rabadons is always a better second item if you can get to it. Like, but if you cannot get to it, then there's a different story, right? And I mean, some games as well, maybe you would go like Void Staff or like Cosmic, or like not Cosmic, what am I saying? Crypt Bloom, right? Like instead, like to get more like tank killing. Maybe you would go like what's it called? I mean, probably not Sony as most games, but you get the general idea. I think Rabadon second is quite strong, but it's just keeping your options open, right? Is the main thing. And this is what I've heard like other coaches suggest as well. Like Vega V2, for example, likes going this, and then if he needs to build something else, he, or like if he needs the immediate spike, he goes something else.
Okay.
And I wouldn't build towards the Shadow Flame ever. Like I wouldn't go like an Amp Tome just because you don't have the gold like for a large rod, but like this is the general idea.
Okay, yeah.
Do you have any other questions before we actually get into the game, or no?
No questions.
All right. What is like your thought process going into this game then? Like, what is your goal with it?
It was versus Azir, and he played Grasp, so I wasn't really sure what was going to happen. I was a bit afraid of getting poked out because it's an Azir. Which actually kind of happened. I kind of struggled early laning phase, and I think the first strike you mentioned wasn't that valuable.
Yeah, I mean, you go.
Yeah, I basically I just tried to scale. Yeah, scale and like dominate objective fights, but the like me knowing what's happening on the map and being at the right place at the right time is still something I have to really work on. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Kakis, thank you for the raid. Now we're like the main thing I want you to look for in this matchup, right? Is that I want us to like kind of try to control the lane, right? If we need to like have Ahri to control the lane, I think we should go it. If you want to use play to scale, it's fine to do.
Yes.
But it's like in general, right? If this guy will outscale us, is my point of view at least. I think our champion scale's fine. Maybe when we reach 120 sacks, 100 sacks, something like this, we're stronger than him.
Okay.
But Azir champion is like known for not being like super strong in the early game, right? Now, one thing first. This guy will always place, if he's a good Azir, he will always place his first soldier here, right? Or like ish where he put it, right? Because he wants to be able to hit these minions and these minions, right? With the soldier.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be standing in your wave. That's the number one thing, right? You want to be standing on the sides or like potentially like even walking up towards him, right? And the reason why I like suggest Ahri in this matchup, I think it's like possible in some matchups for us to start poking with first strike as well, and I think you can agree. But the hardest part, like of doing that in this kind of matchup, right, is that he can auto attack and kind of move at the same time because he doesn't really have an animation. Agreed?
Yes.
So every time he goes for an auto attack, preferably we would go for a spell or something like this, right? But the good thing is that if we have Ahri, for example, we don't need to trade with our spells. Potentially, we could trade with our auto attacks, right? So for example, he goes for an auto and we go for an auto, right? And we get the Ahri proc, and that's what we're aiming for, right?
Yeah.
And this is fine. If he uses his soldier like that, I mean, now I would just play for the push. I don't really know why we walk into this soldier. Like, why are we swapping sides here?
Because I thought like he had no soldiers left, so I want to walk to the other side so I have more space.
Yeah.
Like he controls the space where he has the soldiers, so I wanted to walk to the other side. So
yeah, I mean that makes some sort of sense, right? But I wouldn't do it in like such a strict motion, let's say, because like here it's good if we step forward and we bait out this soldier. This is completely fine. Now I would just focus on the push, right? Because he's committing one soldier to not pushing and he's committing the other to not doing anything right now, right?
Yeah.
So if we spend all our time walking around this way, even if we can tank one auto if we really want to, right? Like we do, he's gonna get the push. Agreed?
Yes.
And we don't want him to get the push. Agreed?
Yeah.
So in general, like right here, just hit minions, right? Now even here, we're not really hitting minions. And now he has to push. Agreed?
Yes.
So this is not very, very good in that sense, right? We can, if we want to, like not hard push, that's completely fine. We don't have to like beat his push by a lot, right? The general idea, let's say a Seer push is like a 5 or something, right, out of 10. Let's say.
Yeah.
And let's just say our push is like 6 if we use abilities. Or even higher, 7, whatever. We only need to get to this number, right? And if he doesn't commit to the 5, and he only commits for the 3, let's say, because right now his soldier is not in the wave, let's say, then we only need to be at a 4. Makes sense?
Then just autoing is fine, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, because he's just gonna be auto-attacking, right? If we really need to, we can use 1 Q for the wave, right? And then we get the push.
Okay.
And if we really need to, we can walk forward and make him back off, or like, he has to make a choice if he wants to trade HP or not, right?
Yeah.
In general, mage versus mage matchups, HP is not your priority, agreed? Because most likely this guy will not be killing you, agreed?
Yeah.
And most likely you will not be killing him either.
Yes.
Right. So
3-6 at least, yeah.
what do you think is the most important thing in these matchups?
I'd say mana.
Right. Mana and push, right? Because mana inflicts the push, right? And if you have more mana than him, you can choose when you want to get the push, and you can choose when you want to reset. And especially in these matchups where he does not match the same items as you do, right? Like he does not have the same components and spikes as you do, right? Because he builds a different build path. Having the push and having the control of when you want to reset is super important, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Because then you can choose like when you want to reset. So in general, we need to focus on our mana. We don't really have to care about his HP, but we care about the push, right? And we have to have him force, like, use mana if we want to have him push. I don't mind this Q. I don't, like, hate it. We get some value out of it. And here, once again, I would out-tech minions, right? And if you're scared of, like, this minion dying, let's say, like this melee creep here, dying and you're not getting it, then I would just out-tech these minions instead, right?
Okay. How is the grasp working? Is it like really bad when I give him an auto, or like I've never played against this rune?
So in general, grasp is like, I mean, he's gonna stack this by being in combat, right? This is how it works.
Yes.
Right. So when he has it active, he will go for an out attack on you, right? He can Q you and he will get it.
Yeah.
That's how it works. And then he deals extra damage and he gets some HP, right? And does some healing as well. Right, so in general, you don't want to trade on his grass stacks if possible, right? So you don't want to trade out for auto with him if possible. Here, I mean, I think so in general, like, if you can avoid it, like, you avoid it, right? In that sense. So level 1 here, I would, like, not focus on poking him out too much, because another thing is, like, with Syndra, right, we can't achieve that much without Ahri level 1, right? We need level 2 so we can start getting our splinters, these kind of things, right?
Yes, I agree.
So I would focus on the wave here, not in the soldiers, right? If you want to, like, for example, right here, step up a bit to force the soldier out, something like this, then that can be fine. But here you start attacking the wave, right, as I said. And here we really don't have a reason to step up right here. Agreed?
Yeah.
It's like, just out-attack the minions and space him and the minions. He has slightly longer range than us, right? Because his soldiers are higher out-attack range, right? We can potentially skill check him with our Q, but if we skill check him too much and it doesn't work out, we're gonna lose.
Yeah, I think I was focused on trading too much.
Yeah. And so now we've lost the push, and now it's hard for us to play, right? And now our HP actually starts gaining some value because we've been poked out a little. I mean, we have 2 potions, right? And we're, like, fine in that sense, right? But the more HP we lose, the more likely it is that he can actually kill us, right?
Yes.
And he has not done an active effort to actually try and poke us out. We've just kind of walked into the soldiers. And now it's hard. So now it's like, what I would do is just, we have to give the push. We set up the minions as we'd like. I don't, like, hate this trade. Generally, a lot of the time, I think it's good to go W second on Syndra. This is an FY, because in general it allows you to last hit a minion and poke him at the same time, right? That's how the ability works.
When it's, especially when the wave is crashing. Yeah.
And you don't have to do it here, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, keep it up as an option, because I see a lot of Syndra players always go E. And that's not always the right choice, right? And here, like, instead of, like, simply, like, fixing this minion, for example, because here, like, the minion ends up dying, right, and we end up getting it, and that's fine. But we probably can just out-attack this, like, once or twice here. So we have to out-attack this twice, and then now we don't need to spend time hitting it, right? Because now we're just rushing it down. We don't even need to hit it at all to begin with, right? If we really want to. For example, we can move around here and attack this, because when this minion dies under turret on the first hit, it means we cannot fix these minions. Make sense?
Yes, yeah.
Because if we look at what happens here, we're not going to tank this wave, agreed? Like, because, well, he's just going to spawn a soldier and we're going to take 1 billion damage, right? And now we can't fix the minions, right? So now we're just losing all of these minions. We get one of them, right? And this is a bit of a disaster, when we could probably have gotten at least most of them, right? By fixing these minions while the melee is tanking a bit, right? Or by fixing them beforehand.
Yeah.
So now when we have our cooldown back up, now I wouldn't mind us looking to step forward a bit, right? If we really want to. Now we have the wave on our side. If we want to get level 3 first, that's completely fine, right? Because this is in general the bad thing with a level 2 crash in mid lane is that you will get level 3 first, and then he will be standing over here, and he's gonna take a bad trade, agreed?
Yeah, yeah.
So if you want to play for that, that's completely fine. So we take this melee. I wouldn't use Q here probably for it. But we can, if we want to, like, look for a W trade on him. But I wouldn't be so scared about him now, right? Because now I actually think we're in advantage. So now if you want to step up and zone him a bit off the creeps, then I think it's fine. Once again, don't do so by walking right like this, because then he will spawn a soldier here, and he will be able to attack the creeps with them. You walk like this. Right.
Okay, so he has to decide between me and the wave.
Right. It's like, and this is a Seer specific to an extent, but it doesn't have to be, right? If you're facing, I don't know, a Lux, let's say, it's the same thing, right? She's gonna want to E the wave and E you at the same time, right? To get the push.
Yeah.
So you don't walk in the wave. You make sure she has to choose. This here is fine. And I assume he probably dies on this. Okay. Our stun is a bit late, but that's alright. Alright. And so the main thing that is good for us, or let's ask a question instead of explaining. What do you think is like the best thing here with this happening? I mean, or the two best things, I guess.
Well, he has no mana.
Yeah.
And I think the wave is pushing into me.
No, it's pushing into him.
No, it's not.
I mean, the two good things is, one, he doesn't have mana, right? And then the other thing is like he uses flash, right? But the fact that he has no mana means that he can no longer contest us, right? Like, even if he wants to, he cannot kill us anymore. Agreed?
Yes, yes.
Right.
So I can zone him from XP now, basically.
Yeah. So now I would step up, right? And it's like, once again, if you want to like bait out the soldier, that's fine. This minion is a bit awkward, right? Because if we leave this minion, it's gonna die and we're not gonna last hit it, right? So if you want to focus this down before you walk forward, that's fine. But now it's like, I wouldn't be so scared about like zoning him off here. His soldier is not even in the wave. We can just walk up on either side, right? Probably on bot side, because that's where Briar is. If we want to, we could place a ward at the same time so that we feel a bit safer. I'm not sure what enemy jungle is. Let me check in up GD, because I'm not gonna wait for tab. It's Brand. So we shouldn't be too scared, right? It's like, in general, I mean, unless we know for some reason Brand started bot side here, I wouldn't hover towards this side, because then if we get like ganked over here, we're miles away from the Briar, right?
Yeah, it's a disaster then.
Or rather, if we know he started top side, I guess. I would pop a potion here, like, to begin with, like, when we get hooked here, I would just pop a potion. It's, like, fine what ends up happening, right? And we're not, like, dead or anything.
Yeah.
But, like, we have two potions, we can play with them, right? If we want to take a reset here, I think it can be alright. I don't, like, love it.
Well, you would just pop the two potions and continue. Because he has no mana. Okay.
Yeah, because I don't think we're... Unless we feel like, okay, we need to be here in the fight, then, like, for lane, I think it's best to save the TP here, right? I think if you need to be active on the map, like, then, okay, it's a different thing, right? So you just make an active decision from that, right? And usually you do so by, okay, understanding where Brand is, for example, and understanding, okay, are we fighting the scuttle, these kind of things, right?
Yes.
Hey guys, it's Aqsept. If you're enjoying the coaching session that you're watching right now, please consider leaving a like and subscribe. I upload coaching sessions daily right now. I also upload shorts daily. And if you're interested in seeing the sessions a bit more live and asking questions while we're going on, then just remember, I always do these sessions live on my Twitch channel, so you can go follow that, link in the description. Anyways, thank you and enjoy the video. And now the good thing with us taking a reset is that we can easily hold this wave, right? So why did this speed up? Hello, YouTube? Okay. No, so we can easily hold the wave now, right? So what is the number one thing we need to do?
Step up.
That's one thing, but if we start trading in this wave, right? Even though he has no mana, we're not killing him on this HP, agreed? Like, we're not gonna...
Yeah. And I'm gonna take a lot of minion damage.
Right,
Yeah.
and he has TP right now. Right.
Yes.
HP value in lane is decided by one factor mainly, or two factors. One is the lethal, which is like when you start dying, right? So if you're like, let's say that HP, you will die. Let's say.
Yeah.
Right, and let's maybe say his HP is over here, right? Something like that, right? It doesn't have to be
Yes.
exact, but something like that, right? And the other is how much HP you have, right? So the more value, or the more the more you have of a resource, mana, HP, doesn't matter, right? The less value it gets. Make sense?
Yes.
So, for example, him right now, he has this amount of HP, right? I'm not sure if he has a potion. You have this amount of HP, and you have 2 potions, right? So, these are things you can play for, right? But on top of this, he has a TP. So, he has another HP bar waiting. So, if you start trading with him, right, and you lose half your HP, let's say, and he resets and TP's back, he's going to be full HP.
For him.
Right.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's actually hard for us to contest, right? Because then he can start forcing trading HP with you, even though he can't kill you, right? At some point, he will be able to. He can even take slightly bad trades, because at some point, you will be lower HP than him, and you can't lane anymore. So then you have to give up the push, right?
Yes.
And now, the real thing that I want us to focus on here is the fact that we make sure we thin the wave, right? Because the number one advantage we have right here with this reset, right, is that we can freeze on him. Agreed?
Yeah.
Right? So we actually have to use the fact that we can freeze on him, right? But if we don't focus the wave right here, and we try to focus his HP, which has basically no value, because we both agree, once he gets this pushed in, he will reset TP, agreed?
Yes.
Right? And even if we freeze on him, he will probably reset TP. But so if we try to focus down this HP bar here, for example, this EQ, right? Then we really get nothing out of it. We get a splinter, and that's good. But look our HP now, and his HP is going to be full, and this is not great for us, and we can't hold the wave.
Makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Alright, what is the plan now?
Well, I know that he's coming back, so I thought I would hard shove it instantly so it comes back to me.
Okay. Because in general, I always want us to have some sort of plan. The number one thing is that whenever we push a wave, if we hit a minion, we should have a reason for why we out-attack this minion, right?
Yes.
I don't care what that reason is, I just want us to have some sort of reason, right?
Yeah.
Right? So if we're, for example, scared of getting ganked on next wave, that's a valid reason, right? Like, okay, we push on this wave and then we don't get ganked on next one, right?
Yeah.
In general, the fear we can have of doing this, right, is if we hard shove now and he looks to play, like, to freeze the wave, right? This is something I would look for as well, right here, if he's looking to freeze or not.
Yes.
He doesn't seem like he is, right? So we can just go for a ward, and now we're fine, right? And now the wave is neutralized, basically. And what are we playing for now?
Good question. I'd just say for the bounce. Bring it back to my side. Yeah.
Right. And why is that?
Because I have an HP and mana disadvantage, probably an item disadvantage too.
Yeah.
So I don't really want to get freezed on and be in the gank danger. Yeah.
Yeah, so one thing I notice here, right? Okay, here we start seeing it as here, right? We start walking bot lane or whatever, we don't look mid lane, that can be fine. If we're looking on minimap and watching if he freezes or not, that's fine, right? Here we go for a ward. One thing I notice is that we don't really check what this guy's bot, right? I'm not sure if we press tab ever here, because I kind of, like, quickly is, like, time, or, like, what's it called, skipped over it, right?
Yeah.
But here we still don't know what he has bought. And we're laning versus this guy. We don't know if this guy has refillable potions, or if he has boots, or whatever he has, right?
Yes.
Just click on him, right? Or at least press tab, right?
Okay.
And it can just be, like, at some point, like, there are gonna be times where this guy just, for some reason, forgot to buy items, right? It fucking happens, right? Agreed? Like, I'm not saying we should assume it happens, but if it does, and we're sitting here laning versus him, respecting him, and we have item advantage right now, we should probably be punching him.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, that's the most extreme case, right? But I just want us to know what he actually bought, right? Because some people are gonna be like, you know, maybe they buy, like, boots and sapphire crystal. Maybe not on a zero, right? But it's like, whatever. Let's at least try to find, like, figure this out. Now, the good thing with him having the push here, right, is that he's gonna have to last hit more minions than us. Right? That's the number one thing. I think playing for the bounce is fine, right? Because, as you say, you're at a disadvantage right now. So, we have to give him the push, and then we play with the pushback, right?
Yes.
So, for example, if earlier, let's say, before you hard shove that last wave, let's say you want to take a reset on like this wave, right? Then you would slow push the last one and you would hard shove, right? And then you would take a reset here. So if you want to take it later, this is fine to do. And so here, I mean, the trade is not that great, but we have potions, right? And now, pressing, or like clicking on him, right, while we're doing the trade, we can notice, okay, he doesn't have potions, for example, right? And he has 2 daggers and boots, right? So what I would do here is just pop your potion, right? Because we're gonna need it, agreed? Like, otherwise we're not getting this crash later on. So we pop one of them right now. And it's like, on top of this, right? If we... For example, I mean, we know he doesn't have flash, so we don't have to be like too scared, right? But if he does manage to shuffle us, then we're gonna be dead, right?
Yes.
So that's something we have to be careful of. I wouldn't pop this potion instantly, like the one you just got. I think it's, you know, you save this for an all-in.
Okay.
Like, this potion can be very strong. Like, you get, I don't know what is 20 AP from this, and we just decide to pop it, and I'm not sure we're gonna use it. If we do use it, great. If we don't, then, you know, it's a complete waste.
Yeah.
And if it's like, once again, it's like similar, you just have to have a reason. If you have a reason for it, like, okay, I'm gonna be taking a short trade here, okay, like, you know, that's fair enough. Now we pop 2 potions, this is fine. And it's like, if we had maybe popped these potions earlier and we had preserved our HP like better, then we could contest this push a bit harder, but now he's playing for the hard push, right? So right here, the main important thing is that we don't care about his push, right? Because we cannot hold the wave. Agreed?
Yes.
So the number one thing we care about is his resources, right? Agreed? And if we can cut his resources, that's the best for us, right? So for example, by counter pushing, we can maybe make sure he uses more mana. Is one example, or by trying to poke him out while he lasts, it's like one way we can make sure he loses HP, right?
Yeah.
So in general, we last hit here, this is fine. When he goes for like this last hit, for example, once again, like instead of like finning the wave here, right? Because this has no value to us, agreed? Yeah. We would look to loop around, you know? And we would just look to poke him, because he has no Q and his soldiers are standing here, right?
Okay, okay.
Right, so by doing this, right, and if we just walk over here and he's last hitting, one, we could maybe land some poke on him. The other is that maybe he starts backing off, and then all of a sudden he's not pushing, right? And then it's like, okay, we slow down his push a little bit, and then he's gonna need to use more soldiers in the future for mana, right?
Yes.
And it's like right here as well, I wouldn't be so scared, right? Like here, this is good. And now, okay, take that minion, and now we chill, right? Because now all our abilities are on cooldown, right? So we can't do anything against him, right? Then this happens, right? If we have abilities here, you agree we just win this trade, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. Like, we're just shitting on him because we just E him in the middle of his E and he just loses, right? But since we don't have abilities, right, we lose, right? So whenever we use our abilities like this, we have to use 2 abilities on Syndra, right? To make sure that, like, okay, we actually get our splinters, right? That's fine. But in general, we want to keep this ability, is one thing. If we need to last hit this with that, then that's fine. But then otherwise we back off. We have no pressure anymore, right?
Yeah.
This is another resource in the lane, right? Cooldowns. Right? So mana, cooldowns, and then HP, right? Because if we have mana, then we can use our cooldowns. If we don't have cooldowns, we lose HP because we play like this, right?
Yes. Yes.
And it's like here, the trade is quite bad, and it's like, at least, as I said, we have more HP to play with, right? Because we have health potion, but we have to remember some things. He has grasp, so he probably has second wind, for example, potentially. And these kind of things, right? So he has more HP to play with in that sense, potentially. And we don't know that, right? If he has second wind or conditioning. Unless we check like on OPGD or something. It's like right here. Okay, here it's a bit more fine to not like contest him too much, right? He's level 6, we might be a bit scared, something like this. I would pop a potion and then, for example, once again, maybe walk around, maybe like look for like EQ, something like this. And then once we land it, like, then we back off, right?
Okay.
You know, we just look for a bit of an HP lead, because it's like, if we could get this HP down to like this or something like that, then we pop our potion and we didn't take this bad trade, we could be like almost full HP and we would have an HP lead coming into the next wave, right? And then he would have to take a reset here, right? If he doesn't want to play with an HP deficit, right? And then when he does that, we can make sure we get the push. And even if he doesn't take a reset, we get the push anyways, agreed?
Yes.
Right. And it's like, if we are scared of, like, for example, getting shuffled in the future, and we don't want to use E because of it, then, okay, you spoke with QW, right? or like WQ. So for example, grab this minion that is low HP, like maybe out-take it once, grab it, and then walk forward, you know, and then Q him. And then if he E's on us, or like tries to E on us, we just E him. Right? Because if we can use our E to like cancel his trade every time, we can always win trades, agreed?
Yes.
Then we just have to be aware of the soldiers, right? And right now the soldiers were busy. And this trade, or like this ability usage, I like really hate, right?
Yeah, it was a bit ambitious, yeah.
It's not even about it being ambitious. Even if he's like, even if it hits, right? It's just, we're skill checking him, right? And we don't need to be doing that, right? He has nothing to do right now. So there's nothing that like actually intensifies, like, or like incentivize rather, like us hitting it, right? Agreed?
Yeah.
Here it's like fine, and if we want to like look for a Q, for example, like okay, it can be a bit more fine, right? It's like, and if you want to look for the EQ here while he's using his cooldowns, that's a bit more fine as well, right? Because he's busy doing something, right? But if he's just walking around and we try to land spells, I mean, unless this guy literally walks into the spells, we will probably not hit them, agreed?
Yeah, it's low percentage too.
Right.
Yeah.
And all that happens is we lose 2 minions because we decided to nuke the entire lane. Now we don't have cooldowns anymore, right? So now, even though we want to play on this bounce back, he wins the push, right? Because we can't contest the wave anymore.
Okay.
Because the roles switch around. While he had the push, right, we had the ability to poke him, and he doesn't really have the ability to poke back because he needs to focus the wave, and it's the same thing now, right? So, because we don't have any cooldowns and we need to focus the wave, he can just fully focus the wave with his cooldowns and deny us the push. And now we're stuck in lane. And now at some point, we're probably gonna need a bailout, I would assume. Unless this guy runs out of mana. That's like one thing, right? If he runs out of mana poking us too much, then we have an out, right? And this I don't really love, because I don't see the reason for us nuking the wave here. I don't think we're gonna get a reset of it. I think, you know, it's like we're just nuking the wave to last hit the minions earlier, or?
No, I thought I could get a reset with it, or just a better position, but the next wave was too close.
Yeah, I mean, now at least like it's a bit neutralized, right, in that sense, right? So it's like not too bad. But we can just let this push, right? He's used all this mana, and we could nuke the next wave instead, right? Use our mana for that, and then we're actually chilling, right?
Yes.
And here, I'm not sure what happens. He seems to go in for a trade, and this is like the scary thing with us not having E. Obviously, it's no mana here, so we don't have to be too scared. Like, if he has mana here, we get shuffled, and then we're probably dead. If Brand is here at least. But since he doesn't have mana, we're just chilling, right? But I wouldn't use E to poke him most of the time, right? I would prefer us to use QW. And if you think like there's no threat, or like we're looking on him or something like this, like looking for a major trade, then I can be fine. Or if you're looking for an exit trade, right? But this will always happen if we don't have E, right?
Yes, yes.
And now we take like somewhat bad reset. We're gonna lose some minions for it, but at least it's like decent in the terms of gold we have, right? That's something. What is the plan now?
Well, he's resetting. So I think I would get this wave, and I don't know what the Drake HP is. My team is doing Drake. Yeah, I think they should be fine. I don't need to help. So I think I probably get this wave and hard shove the next.
Yeah. What do you want to do after this hard push?
Get a ward out somewhere.
Okay.
Probably bot side.
Yeah, it can be fine. The general thing, and what I recommend, right, is that like, okay, if we deny him this wave, that's a valid reason for why we hard shove. If we feel like we need a ward right now, then that's a valid reason. If we need to be there on Drake, etc. We have to have some reason to why we hard shove always, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, slow pushing is just simply better.
Yes.
And that reason can be whatever. We're scared of a gank on the next wave, we need a ward right now, we need to help our team right now, we need to punish this guy, like for being off tempo right now, whatever, right? It's like, all of these can be valid reasons, right?
Yeah.
But the truth is, if we like slow push here, let's say, and then we hard shove the next one, we just have a bigger move timer if we want it, right?
Yeah, yeah. What do you think about this QE? I'm really not sure about it.
Okay, so the general thing, it's like, once again, we want to keep some abilities up, right? Here we QEW, right? And now we can't contest the wave. If we're, once again here, he's slow pushing, right?
Yeah.
So if we want to play for his HP and not to contest the push too hard, this is fine, right? now we back off, and now we don't trade. We just have to be careful of this guy, right? Because, I mean, I think he uses Q here, so that's good, right? Like, so then we can feel a bit safer in that sense, right? But if he doesn't, okay, maybe he didn't use his Q even. But then we have to, like, chill a bit, right? Because now, if Brand is here, for example, right, like, it's good that we're hovering on this side, right, of course, but it's like, if Brand is here, and he, like, this guy can easily shuffle us, right? And this guy's gonna have flash rune as well, right? So,
yeah,
I don't know exactly what the timer is, but it's probably, like, I don't know, like, somewhere around 8 minutes, right? Because I think we got ganked, or, like, we got a gank at 3 minutes.
yes.
So it's like, right here, if that's here isn't boosted, we probably die. We might die anyways, to be honest.
Yes, I think it happens.
And here I would spam ping that we need help, you know? It's like, yeah, maybe we can't get help and then unlucky, but...
Yeah.
You know, it's like, yeah, we're kind of just roaming around, you know, in a sense. And hoping for the best. No, but it's like, so in general, it's just about recognizing what we want to do. And it's like, if we think we're gonna need to, like, last hit, like, for example, already here, when you go for this creep, he could easily EQ and then flash on you, and you're dead. Agreed?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So that's why we don't want to be using the E.
Okay.
Because even, let's say, like, we save our W, like, that's not gonna stop his combo, right?
Yeah.
So if we don't need to step up here, then okay, that's fine. We don't need to step up. Like here, right now, we have no reason to step up, right? Like we don't even need to be standing this close, right?
Yes.
But in general, it's like, so if we don't need to do anything on the wave, we can do it as an exit or something like that. Or if we think he's too low or too low mana, something like this, like if we think we can kill him based off like the E trade or something like that in the future, then sure, go for it, you know? But it's gotta have a reason, right? Otherwise, we're using our E aggressively and we can be punished for it, right? Because that's the only timer where Azir actually can do something aggressive. And this here is fine. I would Q him after the E. Like straight away. Like here, EQ.
Yes.
We get a bit skill checked, but that ends up being alright. And he probably dies here, so. Alright, not too bad. What's the plan now?
I think I can go for a plate here.
Yep.
Yeah. If Brent comes, I just walk away. I have my E.
Yep.
And I don't think my resetting would be the best idea since I don't have a good buy.
Yeah. No, that's fine. It's like the only time where we reset here is like if you feel like you need resources back, right? In that sense. If you think you don't have a good buy, right? And here, like, we can just nuke this wave like you do and then reset off this if we want to. We decide to stay.
I think I stayed because Ludens is 900.
Sure. Then Emo, we should not nuke the previous wave, right? But that's like, you know, you probably thought, okay, I want to reset and then rethought your plan, right?
Yeah.
It's like in general, I wanted to, similar thing, like when I ask you about your plans, right? One thing is like short-term plans, right? Okay, it could just be for the next crash or whatever, but also like try to think of, okay, what do I want to do? Like, how long do I want to stay on the map? When do I want my next reset, right? Because as we said, the biggest thing with you versus Azir this matchup is that neither of you can really kill the other. Like maybe with like some jungle pressure, you can pressure with your E and he can pressure with his ult, right? But otherwise, there's like no real like pressure in the 1-1. So what we have to do is like make sure we get better resets than him and use less mana on the wave than him, etc. These kind of things, right?
Okay.
So it's like if we can plan our resets, for example, 900 gold is our next reset. Let's just say when we walk back out on the map after we die, right?
Yes.
So if we just keep that in mind and we plan for it, then we can have a better reset than him, probably. Agreed? If we play it correctly.
Yeah.
So
that QE was just like again with the wrong mindset and the wrong intention. Because I'm not trying to trade, I'm trying to get the wave and into a reset, right?
Right. I mean, you can tell here that you really want to like, what's it called? Like shove the wave. That's why you're like tanking the soldier, like kind of for fun.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, the E is not that great in general, right? It's like, once again, that is kind of what I mean. Like that Seer can easily like skill check it, right? Because he can auto attack and kind of move at the same time because his animations are so short. So I probably wouldn't go for it to begin with, right? And it's like, once again, now we're just under pressure. And it's like fine to give the wave if he shoves like this, but he could just also like not shove the wave here after we use EQ, right? And then it's like, we're kind of just screwed here if he like just like freezes it on us, kinda, or not freezes it, but
Yes.
slow pushes, right?
Yeah.
And it's like right here we can't step up, right? Why is he out attacking the minions, right? That's the like biggest question here, right? And we get away with it because he does it, right? And we don't control this guy's movements. We can just be happy that he does shove it into us, right? And we can play the game. But we
Yeah.
can just lose an entire wave or like most of the wave if he decides to play it differently, right? Because like even under tower right here, like we kind of suffer. And we end up getting out of it fine, right? Because our plan was always to reset TP here on this gold. But it's something to keep in mind of. Alright, what is the plan now?
Basically contesting him on the push. I think I have a better buy than him, and as I see on the minimap, Briar probably wants to do the corrupts.
Mhm.
I think the enemies are actually on it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
play for push and look what's happening topside.
Right. Now, I'm not sure if we do it, but it's like same thing as before. I'm not sure if we ever checked what Azir actually bought on his like last reset, because we're not like clicking on him. Maybe we press tab at some point. But it's something to keep
I
in mind
don't
also.
think so. Yeah. Seems like an issue.
It's like we say, okay, we have a better base than him. Okay, here we press tab. Now we can see we for sure have a better base than him, right? He has boots and he has like,
Yeah.
so we're one item and he's not. But it's like in general, just keeping in mind, like, okay, we don't actually know if he has Nashers here or whatever, right? Like if he didn't buy boots, for example.
Yes.
Now, so in general, like, once again, now the HP becomes a bit more valuable, right? For him, especially, right? Because we can actually, like, play to kill him. Agreed?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, when he spawns double soldier, like, I mean, his plan is to play with this double soldier and then try to poke us, right? That's, like,
Yes.
his plan, right? So, one important thing is that whoever is first on the wave kind of wins, right? Because if you try to walk into his soldiers, you're just gonna take damage. If he tries to walk into you, you're gonna he's gonna take damage, right? Agreed?
Yes. Yes.
So it's like, if he can stand like this permanently in the middle of the wave, then we're gonna have an issue. Agreed?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, for example here, I mean, here I don't mind us skill checking it as much, right? Because now we've lost the push enemies, agreed?
Yeah.
So if we just want to Q here to try and get some poke on him, if we land it enough times, then we can actually do something with it, right? Because right now, he can just zone us out.
How much does the level disadvantage get into play here?
Now, the level disadvantage is, like, important, right? But I think, generally, it's more important for you to have gold than, like, levels, right? With your champions. Like, gold deals more damage in this kind of matchup, I would say.
Yeah.
And the CQ I don't mind, right? Because this makes more sense, right? Now we just have to be aware, okay, we can't step up, right? It's like, if we can take these kind of trades more often, then this is good, right? And it's like, right here, we just space away from him like we're doing now. And this is fine. And yeah, this is completely fine. Yeah, and this is alright again. This is kind of what I said, right? If you have the damage to actually kill him, like you do here, then this is completely alright to go for. The one thing to keep in mind is that if he does, for example, dodge up here, then I think he just dodges your EQ, right? And then we're a bit screwed.
Yeah.
Right, so it's like just keeping in mind of that we don't want to be like in a constant skill check, right? If he's like in the middle of an auto animation or like something similar, then it can be fine Q animation, something like this, then it's really fine, right? Oi, oi, oi. I mean,
I actually do this a lot, like flash QR.
No,
but I missed it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like hate it. The only thing, I mean, here he like dodges forward, right? So he plays it good. The only thing is that I don't think we need to be so impatient on it, you know? Like, we don't need to like stress it that much.
Oh, because he hates the lane state anyway. So
yeah,
if I
exactly.
just stay in it, yeah,
right. Because the truth is, like, right now he's like hitting the minions. So if you want to just step up towards him, just step up towards him, right? And it's like here you can even see him backing off. So now just slow push the wave, right? And then once you have your cooldowns, you can do this. You can just ult into E, and he's dead. Agreed?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Because we just kind of end up skill checking it, right? And as I said, he plays it good, right? So that's something to keep in mind, but yeah. And one thing, like, Squidly is in chat, and he pointed this out as well, is that here, if we want to, we just step up to watch him, and he's dead. Like, because here we can just step up, and we ult him, and then he has to E onto us, right? With how his soldiers are placed.
Yeah, true.
Right, and then we just flash his combo, and we kill him.
Yes.
It's like, I don't hate the play, I think it's like good confidence in that sense, right? But, you know, it's like, once again, he still has E, right? So you can always dodge your Q in that sense, right? And we end up trading 1-for-1, it's like not terrible, right? But as we said, like, he kind of hates his lane state anyways, maybe you're scared of his like TP, that's why, like, you want to play it so fast, something like that. But in general, you know, like, he's in a bit of a rough position, right? I don't want to skill check it then. We can just wait until we don't have to.
Yeah, I didn't think about his TP. I think I just got impatient. I saw the angle and wanted to go for it. Yeah.
It's good that we like pressure on him when we think we have the angle, right? Like, I'm not gonna say that, right? But, you know, we have other options as well.
Yes.
And it's good that we go for it in the moment, right? Because we weren't thinking of the other options. It's better to do that than hesitate in that sense. If we're not aware of the other options, but now we're aware of it at least. Alright, what is the plan now?
Well, Herald is up, and I don't need to rush anything now. I have an HP lead, bit of a mana lead, but that's fine.
Yep.
I haven't pressed tab, so I don't know what his items are, but I believe I have a better buy.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the strongest points of Syndra in the game, right? So
yes, it doesn't make any sense for me like to throw the QE out. It's just a flip. Yeah.
Right. The Q can be fine if you like wanna like look for it, because one thing with your Q is that it's one of the strongest zoning tools in the game, right? If your Q is like, I don't know, over here, let's say, and you're like, you can just walk around it, right? And he kinda has to walk on the opposite side, and then you're outranging him. You see what I mean?
Yes.
If he ever steps wrong, then you can E, right, for example, right? And you can kind of control his movement by that, right? If you want him to hug this side of the map and your Q is over here, you can walk onto this side, right? And then you can, for example, W, and then he has to dodge towards this, and then you can step up, and it becomes really awkward for this guy to play.
Okay.
So you can just Q once and have your Q out and play around that Q, right? You don't have to insta QE always. And it should just be dead here. It's good. How come we did not E this guy?
I don't know.
Did we forget we had it up because of Transcendence, or?
It could be. I really don't know. Yeah, it makes no sense. I should have eat 100%. Yeah.
And maybe we kill him, maybe we don't, I don't know, right? But it's like, at least we have more pressure to do it than the Volibear so dickhead. He steals our Splinter, but either way. Oi. So one thing I see like Nemesis do, for example, right, when I watch his streams, is that instead of QEing here, is he will E and then Q, and that just guarantees a Splinter proc, right? Because you're not looking to like actually like kill him here or like anything like that. Maybe you are, like maybe you think you have the damage. I'm not 100% certain on your limits.
Yeah, I just wanted to chunk him.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, then it can be better to use E and then Q, you know, and that guarantees like you actually land the Splinter, right? Because he's never gonna dodge the E, and he's never gonna dodge the Q after the E.
Yeah.
Alright, then we decide to stay here. How come?
I wanted the rod.
Yep.
But
yeah, that's fine.
It was too greedy. I think it was too greedy because I think I end up dying.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we end up dying not because we're too greedy, but because we're not looking at the map. We see these guys coming and we just die.
True.
Like here we see the Nautilus. Here we start spacing backwards. You steal the cannon and then you leave that one range creep, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Right, because if we're like, you know, standing over here right now, we're completely safe. Right, and we have a large rod and we're completely chilling.
Absolutely.
Then our Jinx goes mid lane, we go bot lane, and we're fine in the game. Right.
I didn't see that in the review. Okay.
And it's like, this is a general thing that I think you lack, right? It's like, okay, we struggle to sometimes press on enemy champion or press tab. We don't really look around what's going on in objectives. It just seems like generally we have like quite a lack of awareness on what's going on in the game. right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And this can be hard to focus on in that sense, especially if you're not used to it. The goal is to have it autopilot, right? So that you, for example, like if you, let's just say, first time you learn looking at a map, right? That's just, it's gonna be hard, right? But the more you do it, the more autopilot it is, right? So
Yeah.
if this is something you think you struggle with, right? You know yourself better than I do. Maybe this is a one-off in like this game that you didn't look at the map here, like I
No,
do that as well.
you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, it's like you spend some games looking at the map, right? And spend some games that, like, you just remind yourself to press tab or, like, press on the enemy champion, right? And the easiest way to remind yourself is either to have, like, a post-it note, like, below your monitor, like, let's say, you know, something like this. Or, like, have it on your second monitor, whatever, right? Something like that, right? So you just remind yourself that, okay, this is what I want to do, right? And the more you do it, just by reminding yourself, the more you're going to do it automatically in the future. And when you start doing it automatically, then it's not hard to do anymore, right?
True.
Right now, it's going to be hard, and you might even lose some games because you're focusing on that instead of focusing on what's going on, right? Okay. So, for example, you're going to take a losing trade because you decide to look at the map instead, right? So,
yes.
But maybe in a week, you're going to be used to looking at the map. And here we get the Lord Shroud, and maybe Asir gets the tower. Here's like on the spawn, I would probably look bot lane, at least to see what's going on, right? It's good that we're looking at this fight, but I would look bot lane to see if, like, okay, can we save this turret? Should I TP? These kind of things, right? Because here we spend a few minutes walking around, and now the turret is gone. And we couldn't have saved it, right? But it's just a general thing.
Yes.
Because this tower is quite important, right? Not because we need it, but because it gives him like 700 gold or some
and it's like
bullshit. And
some really stupid mistake now.
Yeah, this is just, you know, like, we just complete the autopilot and walk into him and we end up dying.
Yes, not paying attention, yeah.
Alright, what is the plan now?
I'd like to play bot lane, so I just side laning, get a bit of farm, and Drake's up. So I mean, in like 40 seconds. So I'm on the right side of the map, get the wave out, and try to be there first.
Yep. So, how many waves do you want to take before you're, like, with your team for this Drake, do you think?
I think just one more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I'd like to be at the objective first. Just to... Wait, do I take another? I don't think so. Yeah, but...
it doesn't matter what you do, I don't care. It's what you think right now.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, so there's a few things, right? It can be fine to take the wave here, right? Like, it can be fine. It's just about what's going on over here, right? Yeah. For example, if we think of the fact that, okay, they took Curl, then like Drake should be free, something like that, maybe you see them top lane, whatever it might be, then it can be fine to take the wave, right? Because then you think the objective is free. Now, one thing you have to be aware of every time you go into this lane is that these guys on mid lane might just grief the game. This is the biggest thing with solo queue side laning, right? Agreed? Like, when you're not with your team, they might just run it down randomly. They just decide that we don't want to win anymore, and they just run it down, right? Right, so every wave here, I would look mid lane. Right? You see what's going on.
Just have a look, or...
Yeah, you see what's going on, right? Like, are they doing something stupid, right? Like, for example, here, like, you can see the Jinx, like, starts walking towards the Herald, and the Volibear is, like, you know, hovering there as well, like, these kind of things, right? And if you think, like, okay, it's safe, then it's fine. Here, is it fine to push this wave? 100%. Theoretically, yes. But it's solo queue, so every time you're taking another wave here, is another wave these guys can grief in mid lane. Yeah. Right? And another thing is that every time you're in mid lane is another time where enemy could just grief for fun. Because they're not respecting your move.
Yes.
Right, I'm not saying you should be permanently mid lane because you're gonna starve yourself of resources, right? But what I am saying is that you wanna, like, find a good balance where you're, like, pushing a wave and then, like, moving into mid lane. For example, here, if you think you really need the crash, okay, take the crash. And now we're not hitting tower here. This is, you know, like, this is not what I would do. Here, I would move 100%.
Absolutely. Yeah, Drake is spawning. I agree.
If you want to take the wave for the fact that, okay, we need to get this crash, otherwise we lose too many resources, that's fine. Yeah. Right? But now we're just, like, hitting this, and it's like, if we, for example, see them topside, whatever, but for all I care, they could just be walking down on us. We saw Nautilus, like, over here, right? We could just be getting yanked and die here.
Yes, yeah.
Right? Where we have, like, zero awareness, right, in that sense. And it's like, now, like, something's going around Drake, and we're not really sure what's going on. And now we see, and now can understand that it's probably gonna be fine, but now when the fight starts, right? And if we're here, they just suicided, right? These two like just decide to die for some reason. Right. It's like we end up getting Drake, it's good stun. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate how we actually play the actual fight, right? It's just, you know, if we're here beforehand, like, maybe it's not as much of a skill check, maybe we, like, can guarantee the Drake more. Maybe if, like, the Saya doesn't, like, have to burn ult here, or I don't think even think she has to, but if she doesn't burn ult here and she ults our stun, maybe, like, some other things happen, right? Maybe we just lose this fight. Right, but it's just in general being aware of this, right? And it's like, being aware of what we want to do, right? So what is the plan now after Drake? Because our plan was to go side lane until Drake.
I think I grab one more wave bot.
Mhm.
Because we have a bit of, I wouldn't say tempo, but I see them mid, so I just grab this scuttle, one more wave bot, reset, get another rod, and walk towards mid lane.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. Once again, I would like us to like at least look mid lane to see if there's like something we can do there before we walk bot lane, right?
Yeah.
Because maybe like enemies are just low HP, maybe it's like a completely free fight. I don't know, right? But it's like maybe it's nothing going on, right? And then we just walk bot lane. That's fine. All right, what is the plan now?
Well, I see Azir overextending, so
Okay.
I moved there with Briar.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. In general, like, anytime we shove this out, right, we have time to move on the map. We can move mid, we can move into the other side lane, we can do whatever we want, right? So, I think it's fine. They have to fix it before we walk back there. Yeah, I mean, this was fine. And I would queue that cannon every single time a bit earlier. Like, I don't really care about getting cannons usually, like, in that sense. It's not a competition, but on Syndra it's kind of important, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
And here's, like, we don't really look what's going on mid lane. I mean, here we, like, quickly look and we see this hurdle spawning. I'm not saying it's wrong to move mid lane here. We probably always move mid lane, but you don't know, right?
Yeah.
So it's a bit awkward. And it's like, if we had realized maybe this can be fine, but...
Yeah, no.
I mean, it can be fine, but we have to play it super slow, and we cannot walk forward here. Here, what we do is, like, we can look for a stun on an angle, for example, and then we move back around the wall, because Nautilus can't hook through the wall, unless he's, like, I don't know, like Chinese or something, but, like, in general, it's like, like, if we step forward here, we have to commit for it, right? Like, we cannot flash out. Like, if you're doing this, I'm flashing to the side down here, and I'm one-tapping the brand, and then I try to walk out and hope for the best.
Yes. Okay.
Right? Or you don't flash at all and you just ult the brand and you commit for the death, you know?
Yeah.
But otherwise, if you just want to look for some poke, you E and then you walk back again.
Yeah.
Because the problem becomes when you look for the W, right?
True. Yeah. Not gonna lie, flashing to the side there would have been super sexy, man.
Yeah, I mean, probably, but I mean, that's like, you know, it's not necessary either. We get Rabadons here. I mean, in general, now we're on our power spike, right? So probably we want to fight, right? Agree?
Yes.
Okay. How come we open mid lane here?
Because nobody was there.
Okay. I mean, here Jinx is here. When we decide to click on mid lane,
never
people
mind.
are here.
I think my thought process was that, like, bot lane is not close enough, so I could still let it push or just let it be,
Okay.
and join my team around Baron. It's like not a necessity to catch bot wave right now.
Yeah, I mean, the awkward thing with going mid lane is like if we go mid lane and then next way we need to go bot lane, let's say, and then we have to go back, and it's like, you know, we're wasting a lot of time moving around the map where we're not being efficient in that sense. It's like, if you think, for example, I mean, if the wave is here, right, then I'm fine you moving mid lane, right?
Yes.
Because then it's like, we might just die walking up here. Here, I don't think we ever die, so I would just walk here. Unless you think something's gonna happen over here, then we move here. But then I wouldn't move mid lane either. I would look at what's going on up here, where people are moving, and move over there instead, right?
Okay.
Unless you think you want to catch the next mid wave. But I think I would be scared to catch this next mid wave more than I would be scared to catch the bot lane. Either way we catch this, and now Jinx moves bot, and now it's like kind of awkward, right? Because now our roles are a bit reversed, right, in that sense.
Yeah.
I mean, this is fine, but at some point we have to swap back, right? And we actually have to go bot lane. Because our champion is not that weak on sideline in this game, I think. Like, Nasus will probably, like, you know, he could beat us, but it's like he's not gonna kill us, right? And neither is us here. So we can easily, like, push on sideline and then just move. And if you feel scared of moving in the jungle for some reason this game, then, you know, the correct answer is, like, theoretically you need some vision around you, right? And probably this solo queue, right? And it's not super high yellow solo queue, so no one will ward for you. So you need to ward for yourself. Like, you need to get a control ward, and you need to maybe have a farsight. That's probably something I would swap to this game. I think people over swap to farsight a lot of the time, but here I would probably do it so that you can, because you can't really face check, right?
Yeah. My vision game is really bad. I never swap to any other like trinket, and I never buy control wards. It's really bad. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like in general, if you don't do it in the early game, for all I care, like you can, like I coached a master player the other week where it's like he was like, yeah, I never ward basically, so it's like whatever, you know. But it's like, and I know like people who have climbed challenger never buying control wards either, so it's like it doesn't matter, right, in that sense. But it's like if you're gonna go sidelane here and you feel like you're scared of playing on sidelane, then I would buy control wards, right? And I would probably swap trinket, right?
Yeah.
Because if we have to go, for example, mid lane when we did earlier, because we feel like, okay, we're not safe on the bot lane wave, I would want some vision, right? Because with vision, we can for sure play, agreed.
It makes sense, yeah.
Now we get soul, and now the game should be fairly simple. And once again, I would probably push out bot lane here. If you want to move mid lane here, one wave to see what happens, and then go bot lane, that's fine. And then now it's like a bit awkward, right? Because we start Nash, so I think it's fine to do what we're doing.
Yeah, I just wanted to like be at Nash and then TP to the side lane. And not like go to the side lane and then TP to the fight.
Yeah, no, I think it's fine. I think if they're not doing Nash on this wave and on the next wave, I would push bot.
Okay.
Like, because then it's like, then at some point we're just gonna starve ourselves of resources, right? I think it's fine to be here because the Nash is going on right now, right? So it's like, you know, you're gonna need to TP anyways. Right, in that sense.
Yes.
I wouldn't TP to the side lane maybe after the Nash, but you can do it, right? It just depends on what happens here, right? I don't love how we play this. I mean, we just kind of walk into her range, and I mean, she decides to not ult for some reason, right? But it's like, I mean, it's just free, right? But it's like, I would space this guy a bit better, right? Like, in general, your job here is to make sure these guys cannot walk in, agreed?
Yes.
Right, so you don't need to, like, step into her. If you step into her, it allows her to attack. You need her to step into you. Make sense? Okay. It doesn't matter because you have Ocean Soul and you're 10 times stronger than this guy, so it's like, you just win. But it's like, you know, there's no reason to, like, do what we do, yeah. And it's like, especially if they're not so scattered here, like, let's say, like, Nautilus is with the Saya, for example, then it's like, we just, you know, stand on the edge and we, like, hold this entrance, and then if they try to walk in, then we EQ them, and then we combo them, etc.
Yes. Okay.
We make it hard for them to walk in, but if they're not walking in, we're already doing our job, right? Yeah, I mean, this is fine. We don't have to be on Nash here, but once again, I would just look at Nash to make sure. And now we reset, and what's the plan after the reset?
Volibear is walking bot lane. Go mid lane, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Like here, I don't mind the side laning as much because we want to get use of the Nash, right? So. And our champion doesn't really want to play 1-3-1 or anything. This is strange. Yeah, I don't really know what happens here. Like, straight from both sides.
I don't know what he was doing. Yeah,
I mean, he's kind of suiciding, and it's like, I mean, to an extent, what he's doing is not bad for the reason that he's wasting our Nash, right? Whenever we have Nash, we want to make as much use of it as possible, right? This is like the #1 goal of the Nash.
Yes.
So if he's like running around, yeah, in a sense, we kind of waste our time. But if we need to deal with him, for example, we're scared of his flank, whatever, then it can be fine. Right, but when we have 3 people chasing him around, then we're just not playing on this wave. We'll play 1 wave earlier, you know?
Yeah.
Because you could see, meanwhile, right, like, while we're chasing this guy, if you look at, like, the Jinx cannot push this wave, right? And they just get to push on 1 wave earlier. And this also means, theoretically, that they should collapse on the Volibear on this timer, and maybe he dies, right? And he can't play on this wave, for example.
True, yeah.
And it doesn't end up happening, right? And the Volibear is chilling, but, you know, it's just a general thing. And here it's like a bit of lack of awareness again. The number one rule with side laning, like especially if we're gonna like really side lane and hit towers like we're doing here, is that we have to count heads on the map. Simple as. We just look at the map and we count heads, right? Here, Azir is dead, right? And it's like we're quite chilling because of it, right? And we also saw someone earlier bot lane, I believe. Yeah, we see Nasus bot lane and we see Azir is dead, and now we can count heads on the map and we see 3 people are on the map, right? And Nasus bot, so we see everyone on the map. Now the heads disappear, so now we back off.
It gets dangerous, yeah.
Right.
Would you back off, or would you just pop a ward over the wall and then see what happens?
Right, so what I would probably do is like you would foresight, right, preferably because you would have that at this point of the game, but it's like if you don't have it like you do here, then before we hit this tower, right here, I would quickly sneak into the jungle. I would place the ward like in the cross section right here. Right, so here. And then you have somewhere to play on. Right, and then when you see them, then you can back off, yeah.
Okay.
It's like, in general, as long as you feel safe from the vision you have, right? If it's like, I don't know, maybe you don't have what's called Verdant Barrier, and it's like a Vi, then, okay, maybe you need to be a bit more scared. Something like this. But the problem is just that we hit the tower, and now we start hitting the next wave, and we have no awareness of what's going on, right?
Yeah.
We just have to realize what space we're playing on. And it's good if we can waste our time. So if we play on the ward and we see them on the ward, then we start backing off, and then we walk forward as soon as they walk back, like then we're wasting our time, right? And that's really good. But in general, and then we end up like living here anyways, and I don't know what goes on here. This is a bit strange what Azir is doing, but whatever. Like this guy gave up on the game or something.
Yeah, I don't know either.
It's like nice that we live here, right? But it's like we probably shouldn't live here, agreed? Like this is just weird how it like plays out. It's like I wouldn't move bot lane here, probably, unless we think we end on the bot lane wave. I would stay mid lane here. Because you're...
Oh, and catch the wave earlier.
Yeah, you just catch the wave and then you buff the wave, right? And your only job when buffing the wave and playing solo like this while your teammates play as 4 is that you don't die. Number one rule. And you just try to buff the wave, and if you can't buff the wave and you have to back off, that's fine.
Yeah, right? We're wasting quite a lot of time.
Right, because even with Nash, it's hard to siege one turret like this, right?
Yes.
If we can bounce between 2 waves, and like, for example, the Brand is the main source of wave clear. This Azir is not wave clearing, agreed?
Yeah.
And Saya can do some wave clearing, right? But she's not gonna do it by herself. So it's like if... And on top of this, Azir is like kind of trolling at this point, right? So she's just going side lane. So it's like, if the Brand and the Saya is playing on one wave, and then like, I don't know, the Nasus is playing on the other, like you could probably make progress on that side, where the Nasus is playing. It's just like, we need to split them up, right? Because if they are 5 people clearing one wave, and we're 5 people like trying to buff a wave, we don't buff the wave 5 times, right? Like, that's not how it works.
Yes. Yeah.
And now the game comes down to an Elder fight. So, I mean, I don't have to ask your plan, I think. I think we just fight this Elder.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't hate how we plays. This is like the only thing maybe is that like straight off on the stun here, we can probably use ult Saya. Like, you know, straight away. We kinda, I don't want to say hesitate, but it's like, wait for the stun to hit and for her to fly away. I think we could just insta-ult.
Yes. Would have been enough.
It's like
and wouldn't have made the team fight so close.
Yeah, and it's like she ults as well right on it, like which she will always do. So if we think we cannot get it off before she ults, then use Q, because she's gonna ult at Q anyways, right? Otherwise she's dead. And then use ult on Nasus. Now we should just... Okay, what's going on here? I mean, this is fine. The only thing is that, like, maybe to be aware of is that you don't want to click into the Jinx, because, well, if he's ever gonna kill the both of you, it's gonna be when you're standing on top of each other.
Yes, yes.
And we just go mid lane. And I mean, preferably we just want to force a fight, but it's not easy to do with our comp. Go Nash. It's like similar thing here on this Nash. We just want to be like zoning them out, right? I wouldn't even like walk into this. Like here is like the only way where we can die. Like if they decide to like try something, right? I'm not saying you will. Like I'm just saying if it ever does happen, it's when you walk into their jungle like this, right?
Yeah.
We just hold the chokes, right? When you walk over the chokes, then they can try to kill you. Then they're not like if they want to walk through here, you stand like here. Right? And it's like same thing if they try to walk through here, you can just position towards either side. And
True.
when they try to step in, you maybe press Q. You don't even have to press QE if you think it's not gonna hit, and then they're gonna start respecting that Q. And if they don't, then you kill them. Nice, some craziness, but it works, so. Alright, then I assume we just end the game here?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. Alright, GG's. No, so in general, like, for this game, like, key takeaways is, like, one, think about how we want to play the lane, right? Because a lot of times we are not really aware of, like, how this champion wants to play versus our champion, right? We use our E a lot, for example, right?
Yeah.
So that's like
Yeah.
one thing to think about generally in matchups. If you need to save your E for whatever he's about to do, or if you can like use it, these kind of things, right? A lot of matchups you're not gonna need to save your E. You can use it aggressively, and that's fine. In this kind of matchup, well, you probably want to save it, right?
True.
And it's like in general thinking about what the win conditions are, thinking about okay, what do we want to do for this reset, right? Like these kind of things, right? If you have like if he's slow pushing to you like this, okay, like thin the wave a bit, right? Like we talked about. It's like focus his HP bar after this, right, a bit. But don't poke him with E main, right? And it's like in general just being more aware on the map, right? That's like one of, or probably the biggest thing, right? Being aware of what's going on the map, right? Like both in terms of like your lane, like okay, what has he bought, for example, right? Press tab, and then also what goes on in general. Agreed?
Agreed.
Alright. Do you want to look through the other VOD, or?
Yeah, maybe just a quick skip.
Yeah, because
That would
you
be
said
awesome.
it was mainly for like Ahri mechanics done, right? So
Yeah.
So we can look through this quick. So we're playing against Yone. What is your goal in the matchup, do you think?
I think I can bully him pretty hard.
Yes.
I just need to be aware of his Q stacks.
Mm-hmm.
And I should get prio in this lane like every time.
Yeah. This is like, in general, you pretty much always go electrocute on Ahri. If you want to go area in this matchup, you can. If you want to go first strike in this matchup as well, you kind of can. Like both of these are an option.
Yeah.
It's like you don't have to. If you feel more comfortable playing electrocute, that's fine. But
Yeah,
it's like,
also on Ahri, I always go electrocute. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I
don't
could
really
probably
think
guess.
about runes.
Yeah, it's fine how we out-attack the minions. I wouldn't out-attack more though. We already got the push, right? Like as I said before, our push only needs to be slightly faster than his, and that's the goal. This is fine. Now you wanna preferably though like step out of the mini wave, like in a sense, right? Like obviously. This is like number one thing when playing range versus melee, we don't want to be poked out by the minions, right? Agreed?
Yes.
So, I mean, if you think your fastest way is walking like this, then you walk like that. If you think it's faster walking like this, you walk like that. I don't care, right? So let's just minion and then you step out of the creeps. One thing in general, and it's like, I don't know, secret tip, if these guys are like at their semi-max range, right? And you walk through two of your minions, then you will diaggro them.
Okay.
This is something to remember if you can. Like, if you can't, then that's fine. But it's like...
That's a good tip, yeah.
I don't think high elo players know of this, most of them. But this is like something you can like take into account sometimes. Because in mid lane there's no bushes to the aggro. So this poke here is fine, but I don't see why we're stepping so far back now. Right? When he Qs like this and he stands like this, you get another auto if you're standing here. Agreed?
Yes. I just wanted... So my thought was
Yeah.
I wanted to go for the W because I have no electrocute. So I just auto W to make sure all of the orbs hit the Yone.
Yeah, that's...
And then back off.
It's good that we go for the W, right? And it's good that we don't want to keep the trade going, but it's not a trade if we're just hitting him, right? Once again, here, when he out-attacks, preferably we hit him. If we need to dash it, that's fine, right?
Yes.
But it's like, just in general. Okay. Here, this auto is fine, right? And here's like a quick demonstration of it. Like here, the creeps are aggroing us first, and then we walk through, and then they de-aggro.
True, yeah.
Like, once again, I wouldn't be so scared here. Like, it's just like a, in general, similar thing, right? If he wants to, like, go for the minions here, like, then it's fine. Like, if he wants to go for us, that's like, then we can dodge it, right? Like, because if we're standing max range on his Q, I agree we can just dodge it, or no?
Yeah, with W.
We dodge to the sides, we don't dodge backwards, that's just a general thing, unless you're standing on max range, right? But it's like, so for example, right here, like, I would just stand further up, right? We don't have to be so scared.
I mistethered there a bit.
Yeah, but that's alright.
Was too close.
Now, once again, right, we step up a bit, right? Because there's two things we want to space when playing range versus melee. One is him, agreed. And compared to our range, right, so we want to stand preferably at our range compared to him. So, for example, we stand like right here right now, let's say. And the other is we want to space these creeps, right? So we don't want to be standing on top of these creeps, right? Because if he starts backing off, we're not going to walk further into him, right? Than like this, right? It's just about asking yourself, like, okay, where do we need space? If you're playing as a mage tier, this makes more sense, right? Because we want to space that guy as well.
Yes.
Right? But if you're playing as a melee, there's no reason to not stand here, agreed?
Okay, makes sense.
Right, and if you're really scared about like spacing the minions, for example, like you could even walk like right here, and it's like then you're standing outside of the minion range, but in your range, for example. Probably have to flash here. So I would flash earlier. It's like I would flash the sun probably, unless you think you can E it. Like here, if you E insta, like, and you think you can like cancel him, then that's fine. But otherwise, you just flash. Right? Because like if you don't flash here, like I get that we want to save it, but we both agree we need to flash at some point. Yes.
Yes.
Right, so we use flash as soon as possible. If you think you need to hold it because of the Yone Q, that makes sense, I guess. But otherwise, we're just wasting HP for zero reason, right? Because if we had flash this Viego stun, let's say, then we just save our entire HP bar, right? And we can keep playing.
Yeah.
But now we have to use our TP as well, right? Or, I mean, we end up dying right, but we trade 1-for-1, so it's like completely alright.
What about getting ganked in the first place? Like,
oh, we can do nothing.
I thought it was a
bit
of a weird timer.
So here's the general thing. If we, like, what he has done, right, is he's cleared these camps, and now he's going for a transition gank, right? And he's just going to go into the top side again, right? So this is something to be aware of, right? That he has the opportunity to gank on this timer, right? Like, if he plays a champion with setup, generally. And it's like, often if he plays with a mid laner with setup, this is always good. Like, it can happen a lot of the time, right?
Okay.
So it depends on what your plan is, right? If you plan on crashing the third wave and then having it bounce back into you, let's say, then what I would probably do is just go for a ward level 1, right? You know, if this guy doesn't have setup, this, I don't know, like a Lilia, let's say, then this gank never happens, we just get out, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, then it's fine to not do. But if we have a, like, ward in river right here, the only thing we do is, like, we can space further towards the side, right, for example, or, like, we can walk back or whatever, right? And we don't have to burn anything, right? Because if we crash the third wave and it bounces back into us, we're not going to get ganked on that wave, agreed? So the only time we need a ward is right now, right?
True, yeah.
And the only time where he will outplay this if he's like playing by, maybe he will Q over the wall and then we ward the entrance instead, that can be fine. Maybe if he's like walking around all the way to the other side, then we will get cheese ganked, but then we just hover towards the side where we have the vision, right? And then we're gonna be chill.
Yes.
And it's something to be aware of, right? And I would probably not buy Amp Tome here, like, personally. I would probably just go Dark Seal over it. But I mean, I don't like hate it or anything. This is just a general thing.
And boots? I don't really need boots.
You didn't have money for the boots. If you have the money, I would just go Dark Seal boots, but otherwise, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, what is the plan now after the reset though?
I'd like to crash this wave.
Okay.
And then get some vision. Probably topside, since we're contesting topside scuttle.
Yeah, so if the general goal here is to crash the wave, then I want you to fucking nuke the wave, agreed?
Yeah,
if you can get a good trade like this is fine. Like, for example, your E is not gonna push the wave, agreed? Like, that's like just another auto, right? And your W, I don't know how much damage that deals on the wave. I don't play Ahri enough, to be honest. So if you think you don't need to do those two abilities on the wave, that's fine. But here, like when the wave arrives, I would just Q the entire wave, right?
Yeah.
Because
It
we don't need to
makes
Q
sense,
this
yeah.
one, right? Like, if anything, if this guy's good, he dodges our Q when we do it like that, right? And we save our E,
Yes.
right? Because our E we need to save in case he goes on us. It's similar to the Syndra matchup, right? We save the defensive ability.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How come we decide to ward bot side here? Or if we don't even ward, maybe.
Because I didn't see Viego when my what's his name? When Udyr was on
Yeah.
Scuttle already. So I thought that he probably was bot side.
Okay, but we knew he's not
But it
bot
doesn't
side,
make
right?
any sense. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. The gank came from bot side.
Yeah, right.
Before.
He has red buff
Yeah.
here, right? He has probably 3 camps. This once again we press tab to just double check, right? Like you know, so nothing weird is happening. Yeah, he's always gonna be 3 camps here, but you know. So it's
Yes,
like,
yes.
and then it's like, then we should know, okay, he just goes to the top side. And we even see him walk into top side right here, right? Unless he like hugs the top side and then walks bot side for some reason, right?
Yeah.
But like
yeah.
everything leads to us should be believing it, like him to be top side, right? If you
Yes.
want to get a ward on his bot side jungle, because you want to see if he like, for example, like ward his Raptors to see if he like goes Raptors before reset, something like this, right? That can be fine, right? But we never ward bot side here because we're scared of a gank, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then we use ward top side instead. We can save our ward here as well, right? But like just in general. And now off his reset, right? He will probably go bot side, right? So if we had warded the Raptors here, then it makes sense, right? I don't like this like river ward. I don't think it makes a lot of sense. Then I think just warding the entrance here is better, unless we're scared of a bot lane gank. But it's a Lulu. I don't think we should be scared. Agreed.
Yeah. No, that was not in my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Alright. Let's see how we play this. What is the goal here?
I'd say either slow push or get a good trade on him.
Okay. Yeah, I think in general we don't want a hard shove, right? That doesn't make any sense. So we use less his minions, we see what he does, and we try to poke him on every minion, right? It's just back to level 1,
Yes.
right? And once again, we try to not use our E too aggressively, right? We can do it at some points, but yeah, this is a general thing. And this is better, right? Here we're not super scared and playing outside of the range of the Yonq, right? In that sense.
Yeah.
Right? It's fine if we want to space a bit further back than like our range, like when he has Q3, right? Because it's hard to react to that. But it's like right here, okay, we space, you know, both the creeps and him. So when he steps up here, like preferably he's an out-attack, the minion kind of suicided towards him, so that's fine. Right? And now we can press backwards a little bit if we want to. But just space his range, space like the minion range, and this is fine. I don't mind this E-trade. I think we should probably not have gone for that auto and just attack the cannon in the middle, and we use Q here.
I wanted to do 2 things at the same time. I wanted to get the cannon and then Q the Yone, but
yeah, I mean, if we're really smooth, right, like potentially we could like, you know, like here, E, and then we just step into the cannon, for example, and we like Q that if we really want to, but otherwise we just Q the cannon and we Q him, or we out the cannon, we kill him, right?
Yes.
And it's like fine if we had like a bit of malfunction, but it sucks that we didn't do either of them, right? Just, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's like right here, the only thing we have to be aware of is like we don't have E right now. He's not gonna trade on us though, so but it's just something to be aware of if in case Yone ganks or something like this. Or Viego, right? Rather. But in general, it's like similar to like the last matchup where we just have to be aware of how we use our defensive spell, and otherwise we can poke him, right? And it's completely fine. It's just being aware. When we get chunked like this and we start running out of mana, right, we wanna preferably take a base, right? Because if he's too low on HP, then we can kill him, right? But it's like, if we're too low on mana, we can't kill him anymore. It's like right here, we just take a base after this wave, preferably. Especially since it's a cannon wave, because now we're gonna end up trying to push this, and now Yone is back, and now we can freeze, right? And now we're screwed.
Yeah, my tempo is absolutely fucked right now.
Right,
yeah.
If this is not a cannon wave, this can be more fine, right? Or if we're like full mana or something like this, then it once again can be more fine, but now we're screwed. But we get Lost Chapter, and I guess that's why we were staying, because we wanted Lost Chapter boots, but yeah. It's like, had we planned our base a bit better, even beforehand, like we talked about earlier, maybe we like, even earlier, we can take a good reset, right? Like, I don't know, for example, this wave, like after this wave, we can push, and then we just get Lost Chapter, let's say.
Yes, yes.
Alright, since we're not gonna look through everything, like, let's just fast forward a bit to team fights, I think. Agreed?
Yeah.
So, in general, how do you want to play your champion in team fights, do you think?
I think Ahri likes flanks,
Yes.
but I'm not really good at creating them yet. Because, as I said before, I'm playing with kind of the Syndra mindset still.
Yep. You can play like Syndra does with your champion. This is like pure, like completely possible, right? Because how Syndra does, right, is she wants to play kind of front to back and then play for her stuns, right? And then when you hit the stun, you want to trade on that, right? That's how you play Syndra in
Yes.
fights. You can kind of do similar thing with Ahri. You want to play a bit more on the flank, right? Because like in general, your pick tool is not as strong. But you can do a similar thing, right? With where you play with your pick tool. But you want to play with your ult rather than just like play for fishing with E. So you want to play like on a half flank, right? Not on a full flank, you don't have to, especially in this kind of game. For example, you lose on the to the Yone on the flank, right? Agreed? And if for some reason the Vayne plays on the flank, you might just lose to her. So you're not gonna beat these guys on the flank. So you wanna play on the half flank. Just if they step up, then you trade with them. If they don't, then okay, then you use ult in on this like main line in a sense, let's call it, and then you play for UE. Make sense? This is how your champion can also play. And I mean, this game seems to be a bit of a stomp. So I mean,
yes, it was. Bot side was very far ahead.
Yeah. So in that sense, yeah, go.
Yeah, the reason I picked it was like I just played lane. I didn't really do anything outside the lane. Yeah.
And if the game looks like this and we're just stomping, we don't have to do anything outside of lane for all I care, right? If you think these guys are just stomping bot lane, right, and you don't have to do anything, like, then just neutralizing this Yone and make sure he can't move bot lane or anything like this is completely fine, right? It's just being aware, making an active decision, right? And we're probably looking at last game, looking at a bit of this game, we probably weren't, like, making decisions based off what was going on around us, right? Agreed?
Yeah. I think I have a pretty fixed mindset, like what my role is.
Yeah.
I can't really.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be what our role is in a sense. It can just be like, okay, what we want to do, right? Because on Ahri, we want to look for more roams usually than compared to like a Syndra, right? Like the champion wants to make plays, especially around level 6, right? This is a skirmish champion, right?
Yeah.
So on level 6, we want to be looking around the map, maybe ganking stuff, maybe like just playing with our jungler, whatever, right? Because if Udyr, for example, gets ahead of the Viego, like he kind of did level 1, or not level 1, but like you got ganked, right, and then he killed the Viego on the Scuttle Crab. On this timer, we can easily look to like play with the Udyr, right? After when we get level 6. So if he wants to do something, we try to follow him up on plays, these kind of things, right? And we just look to skirmish with I can't speak, no, my GG. Skirmish with our champion, right? That's like what we want to do.
Yeah.
It's like now the game, in a sense, is a bit over. So it's like hard to look at team fights in that sense, but this is general what you want to aim for, right? Okay, early game, you know, you play as like a bit of a lane bully, especially in these kind of lanes, right? And then on level 6, we start to look for more skirmishing, right? And then like after the, or like in team fights, generally we look to play on the half flank and we try to make plays, right? This is the idea. Agreed?
Okay.
Alright. Do you have any other questions about this game? It was
no
big quick. Okay. Alright.
That's all I had in mind. Thank you so much, Aqsept.
Alright, and then if you have any questions in the future, just feel free to hit me up. I will upload this to YouTube, like, I don't know, next week or something. I'll message you at least when I do.
Perfect.
So you can rewatch it. If you want to rewatch it earlier, then you can just check Twitch VODs. So yeah. Alright, but in general, as I said, try to be a bit more aware in the game and try to get used to it. Pressing tab, looking at the map, right? And then just general thinking what your champion wants to do in terms of the game, right?
Yes.
And it can be fine to have a bit of a fixed mindset in a sense, like, especially coming into, like, you're not, like, super high elo yet, but, like, until you come into, like, high diamond, I think it can be a bit fine. Like, you can probably, like, play one style and get away with it a lot of the time. But especially later, and I think it can give you a lot of advantages if you're willing to, like, think more about, like, certain stuff going on in the game.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
Right.
Okay. Thank you so much, man.
Alright, awesome. I can't speak again. I hope it helped, and then I'll see you, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, see you around. Bye, chat.